people, Whitney and LaBrie here, and this week we're gonna start working in this area here. I wanna build a cellar or basement doors right here, and of course, I'm not gonna actually be able to build a basement, although that would be insanely cool, but I am gonna make it where when you open the basement doors or the cellar doors, it looks like you could walk downstairs. So I'm gonna add a little bit of a 3D perspective. The other thing I'm gonna do is use my remnants left over from the actual dollhouse build. It's okay in this case to have extra pieces because I did a lot of modifications. It's not always good to have extra pieces. I've been in that situation. Thank you, IKEA. So I think it's time. Let's get started.
I'm pretty excited about this project because I really wanted to do it for some time. Basically, what I'm interested in doing is covering up this larger square here. And so these are the two remnant pieces that I'm going to use. They were, I think, the dormers to one area of the roof that I did not use. I'm really going to make sure that I measure this out because there is a small lip underneath the white brick, and I really want these pieces to be able to fit nice and snug underneath that lip and also right up against the stone base. And right now I'm kind of going back and forth because I kind of want a little bit of the stone to be seen when you open the cellar doors, like you might really see in a real cellar or a real basement. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure it out, and I'm just going to mark it with a Sharpie. Okay, and then for those cuts there, I use my miter shears. But this is such hard wood that really I could have used a Dremel, and that probably would have been a little bit easier on me. I really had to use my Popeye arms to get those cuts right. But it still worked out using the miter shears. So again, if I had used balsa wood, it would have been much easier. So those are my cuts. Now I'm just double checking to make sure that they fit snugly underneath that brick wall lip and right up against the stone base. One fits really well. The other one, there's a little bit of a gap. It actually is probably likely because the stone itself is not even, but that's okay. We can take care of that later. Now I'm going to take another piece of my remnant wood and cut a base to this cellar. That I used a Dremel to saw off because it was just never, my miter shears were never going to work. So now I'm going to do my favorite thing and just do a little sanding. If this is your first video you've watched of me, please know that is sarcastic. I hate sanding. Now I'm going to just do a base coat in the black acrylic paint. So that's going to be the first start to creating the look of a staircase going down. So I'm just going to base coat this whole thing in black and let that dry. Okay, once that's all dry, now I'm just gonna add my two end pieces, and I'm using Gorilla Wood Glue to do that, and a little blue tape to hold it in place. And then while that's drying, I am going to start working on the doors. And for the doors, I'm just going to use some coffee stir sticks. And I am going to take one of them and put it up at the top here, and that's just going to be a support piece. Okay, and basically all I did was measured out how many I needed and use coffee stir sticks as braces here. And then what I did was I just needed to really make sure that I left a little space for the hardware on both sides of the door. Okay. And then I also use Gorilla Glue for that and blue tape to hold them together. And then I'm just gonna set those aside and let those dry. Okay, and then while those doors are drying, I'm gonna go back to the base and I'm gonna draw in some stairs here with a pencil. I'm just sketching them in just to give me kind of an idea of where I want my stairs to go and what that looks like as far as perspective goes. And now I'm gonna take my gray paint and I'm going to just paint in where the walls would be, leaving an open area for the staircase. and that's gonna kind of be the base coat. I'm also doing the interior wall gray as well, so that when you look down, you'll just mostly see gray and it'll kind of look like walls. All right, now what I'm gonna do is, first let's take a look at this photo here. So this is kind of what I'm gonna attempt to make this look like. And you can see as the stairs go down, each stair becomes a little bit thinner. And that leads your eye to know that the stairs have depth and how many there are. You can see all the way to the bottom basically. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these are a mixture of popsicle sticks and also coffee stir sticks, because they're kind of, you know, different sizes. And then I'm gonna start gluing them in to create the look of stairs going down. And then at this point, you still don't really have that 3D feeling because all of the stairs are the same and there's really not any shading. So now I'm gonna go ahead and brush a coat of the same color gray on that I did the walls in. And then I'm going to take my black and I'm going to do some shading. I'm going to go around each stair. I'm just going to draw a line of black between each stair and create a shadow. It doesn't need to be really dark. I am just going to dry brush this on, and you see I'm kind of wiping it off a little bit with my finger. And I'm going to continue to do that all the way down the stairs and then shade the outside as well. Now I'm going to take a little bit of brown and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just do a little bit on the edges, a little bit in between each stair. And I'm also going to do it on the side walls, and I'm going to come in at a diagonal pattern to give it the look as though really they're straight walls, but really we know that they're not. They're just flat. Okay, and I'm just gonna let that dry. Now, I do like the look of the stone to the back, and I'm gonna leave a little bit there, but I think it would be a good idea to go ahead and add a couple of additional braces to the back just for structural purposes. And you see I'm leaving an open gap so you can still see the stone. And I'm gonna add that in, and I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry and then make sure that my doors fit nice and snug to the front. And then I'm gonna take my stain pen, and right now I'm kind of going between this maple color and this oak color, but I think I'm going to ultimately do the maple, which is a little bit darker, and it actually is very close to the color of the dollhouse itself. And I'm just going to go ahead and stain pen this whole piece. That, of course, takes about 5 seconds to completely dry when you use those pens. That's why they're so fabulous. And then there's really no odor, which is even more awesome. And then I'm going to take a little bit of cotton. And I know it sounds like really creepy, but I really feel like, you know, it's more realistic if there's some little webs and maybe even like, you know, old cobwebs up there, and even like some spider, maybe egg sacs up there, which sounds disgusting, but these are the things that end up in the basement. Okay, now that we've got our stain, I'm just gonna take a little bit of black and I'm just gonna brush a little bit of black here and there, make sure all of the gaps are filled in, and that will also give some low lights to the piece as well. And now it's time to add some hardware. And I've chosen these H hinges here. I think they're gonna work really well. They've got the little tiny nails and everything in them. And for the door handles, I have these pulls here that I'm gonna use on the outside. To add the hardware, this is another issue when you use this kind of hard wood that I'd used. It's really difficult to get those little nails in. It's also hard to see, so I always use a little magnifying glass. Now, it comes with this really handy dandy little tool right here that you can just pre-punch your hole and then put your nail in, and it should just go right in. But I'm gonna have you just walk this right on over to the trash and throw it away because it's absolute garbage. No, actually, I'm kidding. If I had used soft wood, that thing would have worked, but I had to go and use that other wood, and so I had to almost punch the holes with like a nice tack and put the hardware in. And then I did reinforce it with a little bit of Gorilla Super Glue gel. All right, and that's it. We are done with this cellar, and I'm really excited about it. So let's go ahead and open it up. Ooh, so creepy. Okay, so really the more I look at this, I feel like it's still missing something as far as the 3D or the illusion effect. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my pencil and I'm going to give the walls on either side of the staircase some more detail. I'm going to make one side wood planks, and I'm just going to start sketching them in with my pencil. And then on the other side, what I want to do is make it look like bricks. And I'm going to make the top bricks a little thicker and then make them thinner as they go down, just indicating, right, that the closer you are to something, the bigger it looks. And then once that's complete, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white paint, and I'm also going to add a little bit more highlighting than I had initially, which I think is going to also help with the effect of looking down a staircase. And so I'm going to do that with just a regular white, and again, I'm just dry brushing it on. I'm not going to be adding any water or anything. And I think that is going to make a big difference. And I may add a little bit to the sides as well. Okay, and so that feels a lot better. I feel like I added a little shadowing just down at the base too, to kind of make your eye think that you could maybe go to the left. And I think that is a, and this is going to be one of those projects that I probably go back to a few more times, but here's how I'm going to leave it today. So I like it so far, so let's check in and see what Tiny Whitney thinks. I think if there's anything I've ever learned from watching Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventure team, is that the basement is where the demons live. And so I myself, and it looks like Tiny Whitney is on board with me, we're not going down there. Not today, at least. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that wraps it up for this week. I hope you enjoyed this little project. It took me about, I guess, a day really to finish, so it was just nice to be able to do a project and have it come together in one day, which was awesome. So I still have plenty more to do on the side of the house, as you can see. I want to work on some other landscaping, of course. I'm always talking about that, but I also want to add, I think, some electric meters and some water meters and things like that, especially right there that junction splices. So we'll be looking to do that soon. So I hope that you really enjoyed this week's show. Please feel free to subscribe, like, comment below. Love to hear from you. As always, if you're interested in pre-owned dollhouse furniture and accessories, you can jump on over to my eBay website at Whitney LaBrie Events, where I add new things weekly. Thank you so much for watching. It's always a pleasure. You guys have an excellent week, and I will see you next time. Bye.